Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. The movie begins amidst the chaos of the US Army in Afghanistan, focusing on soldier Kyle Snowden, as he navigates the intense environment. A sudden eruption of gunfire sends his team into action. Moving to Kyle, now back home, visibly worn down. His daughter Angel reminds him of the impact he made, by helping the children they saw on TV. Having lost all his comrades in the Afghan war, Kyle now dedicates himself to working with a child protection team, and raising his daughter. Meanwhile, Rise is shown in turmoil at home, taking drastic action by pointing a gun at a poster of Kyle's father, Sam Nelson, and firing. Amidst this, Kyle and his colleague, Clove, are at work, when his friend Sunshine calls to wish happy birthday, but Clove's birthday is next week. After the call, she continues with Kyle. The next day, Sam, Kyle's father, arrives home, preparing to welcome his granddaughter. Concerned about the situation there, Sam tries to persuade Kyle, albeit unsuccessfully, about raising children in such conditions. The next day, Kyle and Clove embark on a mission to find a critically ill boy. Upon reaching the location, they encounter an emotionally distraught man, eventually discovering the hidden boy under a table. With Clove's comforting presence, they manage to get the boy to safety. As they journey back, the trio finds themselves on a dark road, where they learn more about the boy's journey. Clove suggests stopping at a newly opened supermarket nearby, much to Kyle's initial reluctance. Unbeknownst to Kyle, the supermarket is owned by his father, a member of Congress with substantial wealth. Despite Kyle's initial hesitation, they enter the supermarket. Inside, they unexpectedly encounter Sunshine, Clove's best friend, who works there. Their reunion is short-lived, as Sunshine is alerted to a thief on the premises. Rushing to the scene, Sunshine apprehends the culprit, and takes her back to the office for interrogation, while Sam conducts a meeting with the staff. Simultaneously, a group of robbers, masked and armed, storm into the supermarket. In the chaos, Clove accidentally fires a shot, hitting one of the robbers. Kyle quickly grabs a towel to help stem the bleeding. Meanwhile, the bodyguard accompanying Sam realizes the exit is blocked. They contemplate sneaking out through a side door, unnoticed by the robbers who have gathered people in the aisles. The robbers make it clear, no one should dare to call for rescue, as they've planted a bomb at the entrance, ready to blow the entire supermarket. Sam, initially thinking the robbers are after money, is startled when they call out to him specifically, asking him to step forward and take a look around. As tension mounts, the robbers continue their threats. It becomes clear to the bodyguard that Sam is the primary target. If he falls into their trap, negotiations will be off the table. Amidst this tense standoff, a girl trapped in the control room manages to escape, despite Sunshine's warnings. Her panic dash draws attention, and she inadvertently triggers the security guard's alarm. The noise alerts the robbers, who swiftly turn their weapons toward the commotion. In the midst of the mayhem, Kyle finds himself caught in the crossfire. Once a warrior, now just an ordinary shopper in the wrong place at the wrong time. One of the robbers aims a gun at Kyle, who instinctively prepares to defend himself. However, before he can act, a brave boy next to him shoves the robbers away, and makes a daring run. The robber, startled, fires a shot that narrowly misses Kyle. He has no choice but to comply with the robber's demands. They force him to the front of the store, where his daughter is accidentally captured in the frenzy. He is overcome with despair at the sight of his daughter in danger. Meanwhile, Sunshine, quick-thinking and determined, leaves the group behind, and sneaks off to the surveillance room. There, Egan Rise, leader of the robbers, spots Sam in the crowd, and drags him to the camera. Rise then reveals a shocking truth. He recounts a past betrayal, where Sam framed Rise's father, his former business partner, for a crime they didn't commit. Sam is stunned by the revelation coming out. 20 years ago, Rise's father had been Sam's collaborator during the inception of his business. However, the setup was a ruse, and Sam had secretly embezzled their funds. Enraged, Rise viciously attacks Sam, who is saved by the intervention of his loyal bodyguard. The situation reaches a critical point when Rise reveals he is wearing a bomb vest, capable of devastating the entire store. Fearing for everyone's safety, Sam advises the other hostages not to provoke Rise further. As tensions rise, a soldier among the hostages reluctantly puts down his weapon, only to be subdued by Rise's thugs. Rise, now in control, steps up to the podium, and issues an ultimatum: if the authorities don't meet his demands within the hour, he'll set off the bomb. He releases a hostage, as a gesture of cooperation, promising more if his terms are met. Among the released hostages are Kyle and his daughter Angel. Rise, recognizing Kyle as Sam's stepson, turns his gun on him. However, Kyle denies any connection to Sam, pleading for his life. Despite seeing through the lie, Rise hesitates, and eventually lets him go. As he exits the store, a sense of unease washes over him. He remembers the boy who had escaped earlier, and decides to return to the supermarket. Inside, he finds Clove, his colleague, gravely injured and deceased. Consumed by grief and rage, he vows to avenge Clove's death. His determination leads him to the warehouse, where he is suddenly ambushed by a gunman, an undercover agent planted by Rise. Kyle finds himself in a desperate struggle for survival. Fortunately, at this critical moment, Sunshine, still monitoring the surveillance cameras, spots the ambush. With swift action, she picks up a walkie-talkie and confronts the gunman, distracting him. Seizing the opportunity, Kyle lunges forward, grabbing a piece of wood to disarm the assailant. As they grapple, Sunshine alerts Kyle to another approaching robber. Thinking quickly, Kyle is ready to defend himself. When the robber draws near, Kyle expertly knocks away the weapon, and the two engage in a fierce struggle for control. The supermarket becomes a battleground, with Kyle fighting for his life, and for justice. However, the psychological scars from war haunt him, leaving him unable to fully tap into his strength. During the struggle, he is overpowered, pushed to the ground, and choked by the enemy. Gasping for air, it seems his end is near. Yet, with a sudden surge of survival instinct, he reaches for a fork nearby and manages to fend off his attacker. As he catches his breath, he and Sunshine strategize on how to confront Rise, unaware that their plans are being monitored on the other end of a radio by Rise himself. The robust combat skills of Kyle come into play as he swiftly moves to the toy shelf, blending in with the surroundings. Rise springs into action, alerting his cohorts to fan out and search. Approaching the shelf where Kyle is hidden, Rise nearly discovers him, but Kyle senses the danger, and slips away to the household goods section. As darkness suddenly envelops the supermarket, Rise suspects police intervention, but remains composed. His henchmen take all the hostages into the warehouse, rigging a deadly C4 bomb at the exit. Meanwhile, Kyle encounters the injured bodyguard, who reveals the truth about Rise's fake bomb vest. The bodyguard's words ignited a fire within him, urging him to focus on saving those in peril. Inspired, he finds a voice in the surveillance room, preparing a plan to rescue the hostages. Unbeknownst to Rise, the boy in the warehouse secretly passes a dagger to a girl, instructing her to cut the ropes binding them. His plan, to steal valuable items, and escape through a pre-dug tunnel, leaving Rise to take the fall when the supermarket blows. With determination in his heart, Kyle storms into action. As Rise cuts some rope, Kyle strikes, stabbing Rise multiple times before he can react. Rise, wounded but still dangerous, attempts to seize the boy, only to find himself facing the barrel of his own pistol as the boy pulls the trigger. In the chaos that follows, Sam, caught in the crossfire, tries to flee, but Rise grabs him, using him as a shield. Ignoring pleas from Rise, Sam gathers his resolve and makes a daring move, breaking free and running, as Rise also flees. With Rise on the run, Kyle and Sunshine split up, each determined to save the hostages. Kyle, driven by a fierce sense of duty, confronts an undercover agent who threatens the evacuating crowd. Acting swiftly, he throws a cocktail, igniting a blaze that distracts the agent. As the group prepares to evacuate, he realizes the boy is missing. Despite Sam's protests, he decides to go back in search of him. Inside, he confronts a robber, who aims a gun in his direction. The tension rises as Kyle stands face to face with danger, ready to protect those in need. Facing the armed robber, he adopts a strategy of apparent weakness, spreading his arms in surrender. Seizing the moment, he deliberately provokes the robber, causing him to lose his temper and turn away in anger. As the robber gives chase, Kyle hides under a cabinet, springing into action when the opportunity arises. With a swift sneak attack, he disarms the robber, and engages in fierce hand-to-hand combat. Using his skills, he swiftly subdues the robber. With the threat neutralized, he presses forward in search of Rise, the mastermind behind the chaos. However, Rise is not alone, and the boy Kyle seeks is nowhere to be found. Confronting Rise, Kyle brandishes a gun, intent on extracting information. But Rise, refusing to yield, retaliates, pushing Kyle to the brink of death. In a critical moment, Sunshine arrives, diverting Rise's attention long enough for Kyle to gain the upper hand. With a decisive blow, Kyle incapacitates Rise, turning the tide of the battle. Meanwhile, the undercover agent, thought to be consumed by the flames of a cocktail, emerges unscathed, seizing the opportunity to eliminate Rise. However, before he can claim victory, Mickey, unseen, strikes him from behind, rendering him unconscious, stealing Sam's money for herself and Sunshine. As Rise regains consciousness and resumes his search, Kyle and Sunshine, hiding beneath the chaos, prepare for one final confrontation. Kyle discovers that Rise is no ordinary adversary. He is a retired Special Forces soldier, driven by a thirst for vengeance against Sam's past betrayal. In a climactic showdown, Kyle faces Rise, wrestling with his inner demons, and overcoming his fear of shooting to protect the boy. With a single shot, Kyle brings Rise's reign of terror to an end, finally resolving the conflict. As victory seems within reach, the looming threat of the supermarket bomb casts a shadow over their triumph. With the clock ticking, Kyle seizes the boy and flees, narrowly escaping the explosion, and ensuring their survival at the 11th hour. And Kyle and Sam finally make peace. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Turn on the notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out.